Hello students, this is Divya Meena, Assistant Professor, Government Girls College, Sikandra. Today's topic is about the poem Remembrance, written by William Shakespeare, who was one of the greatest poet and the playwright in the Elizabethan age, who was born in 23rd April 1564 and died in 23rd April 1616. Shakespeare wrote 157 sonnets, and this sonnet is sonnet 30. In this sonnet, Shakespeare remember, as the title suggests, he remembers his friends and repents when he memorizes them, and expresses his feeling of sorrow and sadness at the loss of his friend. So it is a sonnet, Shakespearean sonnet, divided into 3 quatrains and 1 couplet. This sonnet is written in iambic pentameter, and the rhyme scheme is A B B A B A B C D C D E F E F and G G. So let us begin with the sonnet Remembrance. Here is the first quatrain of the sonnet. When to the seasons of sweet silent thought I summon up remembrance of things past, I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought, and with old woes knew well my dear time's rest. When to the seasons of sweet silent thought, here the poet expresses the personal note that when to the seasons of sweet silent thought, when the time season here refers to the time of sweet silent thought, when he sits silently and think about the past memories, I summon up. When he sits silently, I summon up. The poet calls back the remembrance of things past, means he memorizes the old memories when he sits silently and think about the past. I sigh the lack of many a thing I sought. When he thinks, he feels a kind of lack in his memories. And with old woes new wail my dear time's waste. And with old woes, he remembers the old sad memories. New wail my dear time's waste, which has been wasted in the time. Then can I drown an eye unused to flow for precious friends hid in death's deathless night, and weep afresh love's long since cancelled woe, and mourn the expense of many a vanished sight. Then can I drown an eye. Then, when he remembers about the past memories, he feel a sadness, and because of that sadness, his eyes drawn with tears. Tears come in his eyes, unused to flow. The eyes which are not habitual to weep, but because of the memories of his friend, tears come in his eyes. For precious friends hid in deathless night, the poet weeps for those precious friends who has died and will never come back. So the night has called deathless, which will never come again. And weep afresh love's long since cancelled foe. And once again he starts weeping in the memory of those friends whom he has lost and mourn the expense of many a vanished sight. And again he mourn, he feels sorrow at the loss of his friends whom he has vanished, who has disappeared from his sight. Then can I grieve at grievance forgone, and heavily from woe to woe tell over, and sad account of for bemoaned mourn. Then can I grieve at grievance forgone, as he has lost his dearest and precious friends, so the grief and the sadness of the loss of his friend grieves him, and heavily from woe to woe tell over. And heavily means he feels very much sad about the loss of his friend, and sad account of for mourn, and the mourning wailing which he has mourned. Once again the sad amount of that wailing he memorizes, which I knew pay as if not paid before. So once again he is feeling the depth of the sadness of the loss of his friend. But if the while I think of thee, dear friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. But when the poet thinks about his friend, he addressed this line to his friend. But if he think about his friend, all losses are restored and sorrows end. With the memory of his friend, he forgets all his non-achievements and all his sorrow, and with the memory of his friend.